Hi there everyone, welcome to Brew. This is where indie developers send their games, there we go, and I do my best to give feedback on their game design. So today's game is called Operators, and it was submitted by Michael, and it's developed by Flux. By definition of the website for this game, in Operators, you play as a group of mercenaries traveling and doing jobs, making money and recruiting members. The gameplay is turn-based tactical combat with cover and per bullet recoil ballistics simulation. Turns are team-phased, and units have an AP system that govern the amount of time that action takes. As I've said before, Run for Cover was the other game that I played on this channel. I'm not typically drawn into tactics games, so I'm not the audience for this. It's very easy to understand from a person who's playing games from a tactics perspective, someone who's already understanding all of these mechanics. For someone like me, it's pretty tough to understand. This was, I think, the fourth or fifth time that I'd played this game, and I just, at that moment right there, started understanding what the game was and what it was about. There's a lot in this game that is really good, but man, it is really tough for someone like me to really understand it. I really like chess, for example. Just before I move a piece, I scan the environment to make sure that I have all these moves planned out in my head before I make a move, and I think about all the things that could happen and couldn't happen, and then make a decision based on the information. When you compare a game like this to chess is actually fairly easy to understand. In chess, each piece has a certain type of move that it can do. You can only do one move per turn, and that's it. It's very easy to just kind of lay out because it's pretty simple. One person takes one turn, the other person takes the next turn. It's easy. Now, when you start getting into games that are more strategic, like Magic the Gathering, there's a lot more subtleties and a lot more nuance to what a turn is and then what you can do during those turns. And then when you turn that kind of game into an action game, but it's also turn-based, then you have a game like this where there are so many stats that you have to figure out. It's a whole lot of information and complexity that needs to be inside the player's brain before they even start, messing with all those systems and stuff. In a game like chess, if you don't know, what these pieces can do, then it's going to affect your gameplay, right? It's going to affect the way that you can start thinking about the game. There can be a lot of really interesting stuff here. When I was playing this game, there was some moments in there, like I think this moment right here, where I started getting really interested in some of the systems. Like right here, we have the different types of percentage chances that we have based on the mode that the gun is in. So you can see that I'm switching between semi-auto, full auto, and burst, and I decided to go with semi-auto because it gave me the best percentage per fire, which I thought was great. It's such an interesting system to interact with. But if I don't understand all of the systems and I don't understand all of the things that I need to do going into the game, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to play the game. People who have played tactics games know what that stuff is, right? If they have played tactics games for a very long time, this all comes very easy to them. And someone like me who doesn't play tactics games, they don't get all that stuff. This is like really good for niche audiences, but really bad for mass audiences, right? It's this thing that I used to call filtering. If you create a piece of art for a type of audience, a niche audience, and you go full in on that audience only, like avant-garde movies, for example. If you made an avant-garde movie, you're not gonna be trying to show that movie to people who just like regular blockbuster movies, right? It's not the same audience. If you keep trying to do more avant-garde stuff, and you keep doing it, your audience gets narrower and narrower, and the people who are in that little narrow slice are gonna love you for it, right? They'll be over the world for all that stuff. But for the mass audience, because you're gonna keep alienating them, they're gonna get filtered out. So that's what I mean by filtering, and that's what I mean by niche audience stuff. People who have played this kind of game before and will probably really like the systems that are in this game because it's similar to systems that they've played with before, but it's definitely not something that's easy to understand to just anybody, right? And that's where I think a lot of design comes into play. So now I want to talk about just some of the design aspects that I just noticed in this game that were either lacking or were something that I wasn't expecting. Okay, so this is the tutorial, and in the tutorial you're kind of set up in this like big like digital kind of looking place, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of that, and it gives you the impression that this is kind of a safe space, right? And it turns out actually, I think if you die in here that you don't get to progress, but I think that's just kind of a beta thing going on. So I should clarify that this game is not finished. There's even a debug button right up there. So yeah, it's definitely not finished. So in the very beginning of the tutorial, you have something that says, hello director, my name is Taya, short for Tactical Artificial Intelligence Assistant. And this person it's not a person, I guess it's a bot, right? That's talking to you. But this thing, this artificial intelligence is going to be talking to you through this whole thing. And it kind of makes a case for you to start understanding, like a tutorial that's built into the world, which is pretty neat. I kind of like that. It tells you what the overall direction of this is. We have a contract for the termination of local hostiles in the area. So I like that it's very specific, right there with you. I love that. That's awesome. And then it tells you how to move, right? Left click to select the unit, right click to move. Your operators are concealed and waiting for your orders. And then this is awesome. This is really, really good design right here, where it shows you exactly what it should look like when you're doing it, and then lets you do it. And then you have a big button under there that says understood, that flashes green to let you know to click that button, right? It's a little overt, but it's nice. It's nice that it's obvious, right? I always talk about that. You need obvious stuff in order for people to understand some things. And then things get a little weird. So as soon as you move, you might move into enemy sighting stuff, or you might not. And right here, I didn't. I moved to my person, and I just didn't know, can I just keep moving? Can I just keep going? And then it shows that I've spotted an enemy. So I really don't know if I can just move indefinitely until I spot an enemy, because later on it's constrained, and that's not really made clear. So anyway, so this is where the next phase, I guess, of your turn is. And it says, Director, our units have encountered enemies who are not aware of our presence. And then it says, if we move quickly, we can reposition them in cover to maintain their concealment, which again, it gives a little window here, which I love. I just absolutely love this type of way of showing people like what to do, because it's very clear. It's not, however, very clear what they're showing in the box here. You can see that nothing's happening. I mean, I think what they're supposed to be doing is they're showing like this little square that you're on is red, and then when the enemies move out of the way, then it becomes I don't know, not red anymore. I really don't know what they're trying to do here. And then it says, once our units are in a better position, we can draw up a plan of how you wish to execute contact, which in theory sounds really great, actually. Like, it's like we're playing in real time, but then we're gonna slow things down and be like, okay, now let's think, tactically what we're gonna do, and then go for it, which I think is what you're supposed to do in the game, but I really didn't get that from it. And then they have this big ol' bar here. You can see this eyeball and this bar, which I think is a timer for letting the player know how long they can stay in that area before getting seen, I think. Not exactly sure. But so right here, they spotted me, and then the whole UI just disappears, and this person says stop, and then starts shooting, and then everyone shoots, and you can see everybody is shooting. Like, there's smoke everywhere, and people die, and so it says, it zooms in on the people one at a time, and it says killed, or injured, and then I'm guessing the blue ones are yours, and the red ones are theirs. Really nothing's explained during this part, right? They haven't taught you this part yet. And then this bar comes up and it says chance for first turn, and then it has a percentage. I don't know where they're getting the percentage from, because the percentage says 59%, but I don't know what any of this is. +5, +5, -5. Again, I'm not sure what any of this is, and this is information that I think I need to know, right? I'm the player playing the game, and they're telling me information that apparently is affecting my gameplay, but I don't know what it is. And so once that thing comes up and it says operators take initiative, and it says it appears we've gained the upper hand on contact. Again, I'm not exactly sure what that means. So then comes something that I feel is like the main part of the game, but I really, I don't know, it feels very strange because we don't spend that much time on the main part, which has the most amount of information in it. And it says right here at the bottom, now begins the main something that's blocked off by that stuff. Good luck, ... director. So then it just tells you, well, good luck. Go ahead and do what you do. And it doesn't really explain to you any of this, which I'm pretty sure it doesn't explain to you any of this. And I don't know, maybe the tutorial needs to be expanded or something, because it feels like they just kind of drop you off a cliff right here. Just be like, okay, I'm gonna throw you in. It's just go ahead and swim. Try to swim if you can. So there's a lot of things that I just had to figure out just by myself right here. This little glowy border around here. There's two types of borders. There's this one, this crazy looking, really big one, and then there's this a dotted one that's in here, and they're different. The one that's on the outside, this big glowy one, I think is how many action points you have toward something like running, for example. So if I were to move, which is you can see right here. Let's see. You can see right here, these are the amount of action points that you have, which are in these little dots, which was never explained. But they're what I assumed were, I wasn't sure what they were at first, but they are action points. That just doesn't tell you. Anyway, but you have those, and then if you go all the way out here, then they'll be depleted, by the time you go to like something like this. So that's in relationship to your movement. That's what these lines are. So how many action points you have relative to your movement. And then you have your buttons, which are down here, your 1 through, what's 1 through 6, but the last one says 9 for some reason. And they do different things. So if let's go to a different clip here. So this is a different area, but you can see in here, we have 1 through 5 right here at the bottom, and they all do different things. So the marker here, and they all explain to you what they are when you hover your cursor over them. So when you select AR suppression right here, then it gives you this kind of boxy looking thing, this cursor, which I think means that you're going to look into that area when you select this and see if there's an enemy that moves into that area, and if there is, then you're going to shoot. I think it doesn't really say. It says suppresses in an area, shooting any hostiles that moves out of the area while the unit has line of sight, uses 12 ammo, removed when taking damage, or next turn removes enemy overwatch. You know what this feels like? Is it feels like reading the cards in Magic the Gathering. Then we have AR Overwatch, which says shoot any unit within vision during the enemy turn. Effect is removed when the unit is damaged or suppressed. So again, there's just all of these things have descriptions, and then you have these lines of sight. I think that's what these are. You can see that they're connected to enemies, and so I think what that means is when you put your cursor right here, those are the enemies that are going to be able to see you, I guess. And I think that means that you don't have that much cover. Then you have these shields that are either full or half full right here, that I think shows you how much suppression of fire that you have. So this is what I mean when I talk about the people who play this type of genre would start understanding all this stuff, versus someone like me who just feels like it's just way too much information for me to understand. If you wanted to, I don't know, like show this to a more of a mass audience, and you wanted to draw more people in, you would have to like very much play test it, for one, but also for two, you would just need to introduce every single little thing like very, very carefully, and I don't know, it has to be super obvious, but you would have to make sure that the player understands everything. And I know I sound like a broken record when I say that, because I say that in every single episode. It's funny, this is something actually interesting right here. If you notice, there's a little thing right here that says scared, and I think this was taken from XCOM or is inspired by XCOM. It says right here the word scared, and what it does is it lowers the person's I think accuracy. I'm not sure, but whatever it does, it affects the shooter somehow. It's just another example of how there's a lot more information here that we just don't know. So yeah, if I were to give any kind of design advice for this, I would say please make sure to introduce every single little thing, and like if you want more people to be introduced to this kind of genre, make sure they understand everything, because I did not understand the majority of this game. And there was a good part of this game where I just felt really great about playing it. I mean, there was some, like, I don't like tactics games at all, because my brain doesn't work in that way. But while playing this game, pieces started coming together, and so there is potential for an audience like me to like a game like this, as long as the information is there. But there were times, like right here, I think, where I started getting those pieces together, and I started understanding, oh, okay, I need to be able to situate my people in a certain area before those people attack, and then we have separate turns, and then I can't see them during certain things, and there were some things that started coming together. And unless I forced myself to play this, over 100 times, then I wouldn't know any of that stuff. So yeah, I think that's the difference between a lot of niche games versus AAA games that have like unlimited budget or a massive amount of budget. You can tell your workers, to over-design as much as they can, to get very obvious with all the things that the player needs to know. And with indie games, you can't really do that, right? But that is the thing that you need to do, is you need to look at the game, from the perspective of someone who doesn't usually play those kinds of games, if that's your intention. If it's not your intention, then disregard what I said about that, because if you are making a game just for the niche audience and you don't care about what anyone else thinks, then go ahead, go all in on that kind of thing. But that would be my perspective on this whole thing. If you think that I didn't bring up everything that is noteworthy in this game, you can bring it up in the Discord. Go to the Games Over Coffee Discord, and there you can talk it out. You can say some of the developers of these games are in there, so you can say what's on your mind in there, say what I didn't say, or go in there to agree or disagree or anything like that. There's also updates and a bunch of other stuff that you can do in there. There's lots of different things in the Discord, so go to Discord if you'd like. So this was Brew. My name is Devon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.